Hello, guys. I am back with another one of my phenomenal 12 authors of Christmas. This is the only author I'm featuring who is not one of my hashtag happy clients, but Nichole is absolutely, unequivocally, undeniably the GOAT. So I had to give her shine. I had to give her a shine. So y'all, welcome Nichole to the stage. How you doing, Nichole?
I am doing amazing and I am honored. The only one that's not a hashtag happy client? Like
The
what?
only one.
Oh,
But
thank
you deserve
you.
it, hon, and they'll find out why. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
All right. Well, I am Nichole, a Black romance author of I'm so close, almost 50 books now.
Say it one more time.
Almost 50 books. Oh my gosh. I'm excited. I'm getting so excited. And to be called a goat by the goat is always, Carla, you're amazing. You're an amazing, not only, and I know I'm supposed to be introducing myself, but you so often like to give flowers to everyone else and don't take the time to accept them for yourself. You're not only an amazing author, you are a grammar warrior. You are an amazing mother, an inspiration truly, and you are out here pumping up everyone else, but you are a true friend, an amazing person, undeniably one of the most amazing people I know. So I just want to stop and give you your flowers because I don't know how many people are doing that for you this season, and you deserve it more than anyone else that you're going to bring up on this stage. So
Dang,
thank you. And I don't know if the people know about us, but we have been rocking in our author group, and Carla is amazing. She's amazing. I can't stop talking about you because you are truly, undoubtedly, one of a kind. So when I say it's an honor to be called the GOAT by you, it's like, girl, stop.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Man. Dang.
You deserve it.
And one of my friends was telling me that the other day. He's like, "You never let me give you compliments." And I'm like, whatever. I got to do more. I got to do more. But to hear you say that, it's like, wow, okay. I just feel so seen. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Now, okay, big girl panties. This may be probably not the question I could start on, but it's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of almost 50 books. How do you name all your characters?
Oh gosh, I feel like there once upon a time was when I was using lots of creativity and names were just flooding me. Now I'm trying to get back to being very intentional about it. But I do use baby names, and I typically go back to the year when the character would ideally be born based on this year. So, like, if they're in their 20s, I'd go back 20 years from now. I'm like, okay, in 2003, what was the popular baby names then?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, baby names, the actual website doesn't always work that great because they're not usually, culturally diverse
Right.
names. They could be, something that's just like, yeah, no, that's not for us. So I'll go to like movie star characters, and most recently it's completely random. It'll be my daughter coming home being like, "Oh, my friend such and such." I'm like, "Oh, that is a nice name. We are going in a book." More recently, I have been very intentional about the name kind of representing that character as a person and who they are as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to find something that kind of personifies a piece of their character. So kind of really looking at the naming, the meaning behind the name and saying, oh, yes, that fits that person perfectly. The book I'm currently writing and about to release, it's a true journey. Like the whole series is going to be a journey. And the main character, the main female character, her name is Journey. But it kind of really wraps up where I hope to take the readers if they will join me along with the series.
Of course they will. Are you going to celebrate when you hit 50 books?
I am. I have an amazing husband who has probably similar to you told, you hear that you have to stop and celebrate yourself. He always tells me like you need to stop being so hard on yourself. Take a pause and actually celebrate like what you've accomplished. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I just keep it moving. But for 50, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I do feel like it's gonna be next year already is gonna be a big year for me. It's a milestone birthday year.
Mhm.
So I'm already, celebrating. So I think I'm gonna, culminate somehow with 50 books. I think
Nice.
that's an accomplishment that deserves a pause.
Hard on yourself how?
Well, if I pulled out my journal, I could tell you.
Oh, so like personally, but not necessarily as an author.
As an author, girl, like I feel like I am in this space and I won't knock myself completely. I do feel like I have some strengths.
Mhm.
They may not actually be with writing though. Like it may be like things around the process. I'm like, yeah, girl, you got that. And I think that comes with my background, not actually being in like English and I don't have an MFA, like those types of things where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, you're a technologist. Like this isn't you. Like, why are you faking the people? Like this is not you the way you're supposed to be. So I
Right.
have myself in that where I'm like, okay, I am definitely, wearing a costume in a place where everyone else is comfortable. So I have to like check myself every once in a while. I'm like, well, there are some people who like what I write. So, that's a
You know,
thing.
it's funny you say that because when I started in 2020 taking stock of the number of books I published.
Mhm.
I was having a conversation with my brother and I said, I would always say, yeah, I'm hoodwinking people. And he's like, Carla, that doesn't even make sense. You're such like, I helped him with his dissertation. And
Mm.
at the time we were speaking, I had done 7 or 8, like fully written dissertations in different disciplines. Grammar always been a thing. And he's like, okay, so let's count these books and see how many books you've helped people to publish. And I got to like 88 or 89. And he's like, we have to celebrate. And it doesn't have to be expensive. So we did, I hit 90 the day before I went to see him in Baltimore. So we went to the Baltimore Pier, got the really big 90 balloons blown up, and just did a little bootleg impromptu photo shoot. And afterwards, he said, so now are you done saying you're hoodwinking people? Because who else has published 90 books? And I was like,
Absolutely.
okay, I know one person. So I get it because my background is in science. I went to school for sports medicine. And like, what am I doing? Nothing with chemistry or biology. I sit at home and write and edit all day long. So I
And I
get
would have
it.
never known that. Thank you
Well,
for
it's
sharing
not
because
something
I
I really
don't
hear.
feel so like alone in this space of like I'm faking the funk. Uh,
No, I'm here with you, girl. Right here.
Yay,
Taking the
we're
fun.
together.
So talk to me a little bit about your process. You said the book I'm writing and about to release. So you already know. I mean, we are almost 50 books in. So you have it down to a science. What is your methodology to coming up with an idea, executing, and then releasing?
So my ideas come to me extremely randomly. I literally could be sitting drinking a cup of tea and be like, ooh, what if that happened? So I've taken to just literally just noting down. I use Evernote in my on my laptop and in my phone. And whenever one of those random ideas comes to me, it may be something as simple as a title, or it could be like a tagline. It could be a piece of dialogue. It could be something sassy. One of the characters kind of
Mhm.
comes to me in my mind, and I'll write that down. I typically will leave it alone until I'm done with whatever I'm working on. I'll let it sit. Sometimes more comes to me, and I'll pick it back up and add in as much detail as possible. But for the year, I've started saying, these are the books I'm going to plan to write for this year. So I will say, and like for 2024, for instance, I have all the books I plan to write. And
How
I've gone
many?
back to that notebook and picked out the notes that are, kind of culminate with whatever I plan to write for the year. And then in that note, if it was very like empty. If there's only a title, for instance, I'll go
Mhm.
and fill in the blanks where I need to, so that I have kind of an idea when it's time to pick up that book and say, okay, I
Mhm.
know where I'm just going to start. And then when I actually start writing, so like for instance, right now I am writing the third book in the series that will come out next year. So I will start that with that note expands out into a full outline. And then that outline will then go into a draft, and then that draft goes to the editor and back to me, and that whole, whole cycle of the publishing starts. But I typically do start off like knowing exactly what I'm going to write. Every blue moon, I will just drop in something because it's like something that's like burning inside. And it's usually just like something a little short. I'm like, oh, this is a really cute, fun idea. I just want to write this to get it out of my system. And then I'll just kind of push that out kind of quickly off the side of my desk. But typically it does start off with like a full, like, I want to write these books this year. And then that whole process with whatever the notes are, whatever has associated with it.
So how many books are on your list for 2024?
I believe it's only 9 for next year. I think it's only 9 for Nichole.
I almost called you your real name. Nichole. Only 9? Only 9? You sound psycho. What do you mean only?
I know. And this morning, honestly, I will be honest with you. This morning, I did tell myself that after this year, after I push these next books out, like I am going to start weaning back and figuring out, because I think, so when I became a full-time author, I was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm a writer. I'm going to write. So every day words must get written. That's my job. I'm writing every day. And because, like I said, I come from a technologist background, like I'm very methodical. I'm very like routine. So like writing every day feels natural. It feels like getting up, and like my husband has to get up and go to work. I get up and go to my office and I write. So it feels natural. But I was like, okay, soon I want to shift into something else where it's like, okay, I'm writing, but I'm not dedicating like every single day to getting words on the paper, and I'm not pushing out as much work. I'm backing off and saying, okay, how can I reimagine what that looks like? Is it taking longer projects? Is it making the projects longer? Whatever that looks like, I'm going to start weaning myself off of, okay, I have to write every single day.
That's so interesting. I mean, with the backlog like that, I would think you would just feel like I have enough. I've done enough. But even though your background is in technology, that creative tinkering that you feel, it's innate, clearly, because you've written so many books. So maybe give yourself a little bit more credit and work on pushing that backlog more so than adding to it per se. I mean, you have to get it out. Like, I know there are times when it literally feels like I'm itching because I'm writing like nonfiction work for clients. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I don't mind doing it. I wrote a real estate book in less than 2 weeks. I was like, okay, let me just get this done and get this over to him. But then I feel that need, like, oh, I need to create, and I'll just start a book. So I think with you having completed so many, the creativity is definitely in you. You having that background tech, I mean, we all are multifaceted, but you're definitely a creative. You can't take that away from yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to keep telling that to myself. I'm going to replay this part a few more times.
Really you are creative, Nichole. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. How long does it typically take you to write a book from start to finish?
From start to finish, now it's about 3 weeks if I'm writing every day. And that is from the outline through to writing. And then everything after that is longer, but the actual writing process is typically 3 weeks.
Okay, so do you write and edit as you go, or do you just dump it and then come back around and do your edits?
I completely finish it and then come back and do my edits. So sometimes I'll reread what I wrote like the day prior, or like say I don't write on the weekends, but if I stop on Friday, I'll go back and just kind of reread that to kind of figure out where I am in the thing. And it may take I might catch something. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. And I'll go back and edit. But typically it is fully get the whole story out and then go back and, okay, let's start editing. Because I will get lost in the story if I start trying to tinker with the story a little bit too much as I'm writing. So I'll dump it all out.
I normally do that, but with this work in progress I have now, I guess because I'm trying to pump it out so fast, I'll write today, and then tomorrow I'll read back through what I wrote. Because I'll think, I can add a little bit more to this, and I'll add another 500 to 700 words, and then, move on to the next scene and then do another 3,500 or so. What's your daily word count? You said you have this is what your goal every day. What's that?
5,000 words.
Girl. 5,000 words a day, 5 days a week. And you've been doing this for how many years?
So now it's only 2 years. So I've only been full-time 2 years. Before that, it was very random because I worked a full-time job and I would kind of get the words when I can and do whatever I can when I could. So it was try to get something on paper if I could every day. But sometimes I was like, girl, I'm tired. I'm going to bed, or I'm waking up early, or those characters can wait.
Uh-huh.
But now it is a true like, okay, I can do this. Depending if I have other things going on or life is lifing, then I'll be like, okay, I'll get in what I can and then figure out the rest later. But the goal is 5,000.
5,000. Oof. Yeah, if I do 5,000 up, that's definitely a good day. I try to shoot for 2,500 to 3,000 on my writing days, but all days aren't writing days, and that's the problem. But I find myself now wanting to spend more time writing. Like this morning, I was taking the kids to school, and I was like, okay, what do I have to do today? Okay, I have an interview at 9, and I'm planning Chase's my son's Sweet 16. I was like, okay, I have to stop by this place, call this person. Okay, but when am I going to write? And he started laughing. He's like, Ma, really? Yes, I have to schedule it in, because if I don't, it's not going to happen. I'll be, lost in the sauce, watching TV, doing laundry, like things I can do when the kids are home. Right. The laundry and the cleaning up, I do it when they get home. But the writing, I like to have that, quiet, dedicated time. Oh, which reminds me, I had a conversation with a fellow writer. She does YA novels. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about just, the process, whatever. And I said, well, sometimes I just write in the dark at night when everybody is asleep, or if I'm home alone. The only light is the light from my computer. So what does your writing situation look like?
Okay, so I typically, you see, this is my writing space, my office. If you could see what this looks like, it's a full room. But typically, I'm only utilizing this desk where I am seated right now. So I have a laptop, my monitor, a secondary monitor, and I have up on my screen is like my Word, and then my note that I told you about is up on the side.
Oh, okay.
And then some lo-fi music playing in the background.
Yes.
Now, because I'm getting old and everyone in my family thinks I'm crazy, I have a heater, a space heater in the room to kind of make it warm and cozy in here. And it's usually me writing like before everyone wakes up. So kind of similar, where as opposed at nighttime, it's in the daytime, really, really early in the morning, before anyone wakes up in the house, before anyone's moving, before anything gets done. And majority of my writing gets done in those hours before the sun even comes up. And then whatever I need to make up after everyone's off to school and the house is quiet again. I feel like it's changed. Like it may not stay that routine forever. Mm-hmm. It has changed over the years from like late at night to after the kids are off to school. I can kind of do my day till later in the afternoon. It just it randomly picks different spots. Right now, it's kind of that morning time before anyone wakes up. And it's just like, my mind is clear before I start thinking about anything else almost. So like I don't have time to think about everything that has to happen today. It's like literally get the words out. And then after that, like I feel a lot lighter too, because I'm like, I can breathe. Like that's all the way I need to do. Yeah. What else do I need to accomplish for today? And then I go get that done.
Nice. Okay. What advice would you give someone who wants to write, let's say about developing characters? What advice would you give them, someone who they haven't completed their book, maybe they haven't started? What newbie advice would you give them about creating characters?
I think the best advice I could give about creating characters is being involved in the world. And I think as a creative, oftentimes we silo ourselves. So it's a very kind of quiet space, like here. I'm here in this room by myself, right? Mm-hmm. But going out and actually being in the world is kind of the best place to develop characters, because you're seeing outside of yourself. I always laugh because when I read someone's first book, including my own, I see a lot of myself in it. And when I read someone else's first book, I'm like, that's that person. Like you see that person in the book because their inner voice just kind of telling the story. but you kind of got to get out of yourself and see other people to kind of really see what other quirks people have, how they talk, and how they interact with people is the best way I feel to kind of really fully develop a character. Because especially if you have more than one character in a book, likely you need some differences between them, and seeing how other people interact in the world is kind of a good way to see, like, okay, how did that person respond when, you're at the coffee shop, for instance, and someone has a visible attitude.
Mm-hmm.
How did that person respond? It may not be the way I respond. How they respond, or any other way that people interact with each other, I think is always a good way to kind of develop and take notes. Like, sometimes I'm out and about and I'll see something, I'm like, oh wow, that would be amazing for a character, and I'll just write it down, like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Or take pictures of things that kind of remind me of what people are doing and how they're interacting, without being obviously creepy and people being like, why are you taking pictures of me or whatever. But I think that's the first start of getting out of your own head and into the world.
That's some good advice. I do that too. I have a note with names, and I have boy names, girl names, and then, well, male, female, and then last names. Because to me, it's like what I had such a hard time naming my kids, and I only have two of them. Like, how am I supposed to name characters? So I do the thing, the birth year thing, and like, okay, well, what was popular then? What do I like? What haven't I used? Do I know somebody with this name who I'm close to, and they may think that this is fashion? Like, the thought process. But I have a note, and when I see things, same thing, I'm like, ooh, that might make a good. Let me just try to take a picture. Exactly. Like, oh, you can't see me, but I can see you. And
exactly.
think about it, when I get back home to make good use of it. So before I wrap this up, tell the people where they can find you and how they can support you.
Awesome. All right. So Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter is everything is by _J Nichole. I'm on Amazon for all my books and some other retailers, Barnes and Nobles, etc., wherever you pick up your ebooks and or paperbacks, and as well as my own website. I sell direct, not shop.notthelastpage.com. Everything on all my socials, you can find all my links there for buying books and all the things that I have out there in the world.
So where do you want them to start? Like, if you have to pick a series or a single book, where do you want them to start? Because, I mean, you have such a collection.
That's always a good question. Because I have so many different types, and I think I've been in my sports girl era for the past 2 years. So I have a lot of sports books, but not everyone loves sports. But I think Greetings from Tuckerville, which is a series that I did, is a small town romance, has a good sampling of my different writing styles, like my different type of stories that I've told. So I think that's a good series to start with.
Okay. Well, you guys have heard it here with one of my amazing, phenomenal, undeniable 12 authors of Christmas, the GOAT, J Nichole. So please follow her on whichever social platforms you frequent the most. Show her some love and tell her Carla sent you. All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.